Never Yield is a 2.5D runner where you duck, jump, vault, and sprint through a series of obstacles while listening to some boppin' tunes. The overall style and mood reminds me a bit of Bit Trip Runner, and it even has some similarly minimalist bonus levels, but there are powerful distinctions. The biggest one is that Never Yield comes in two speeds, jogging speed and sprinting speed. The goal in Never Yield is to beat the levels as skillfully and in as little time as possible. This encourages players to sprint wherever possible and to figure out exactly how fast they can go without eating shit. This is an appealing challenge, and the game's style is rapturous, so it's hard not to have a good impression. But that's almost all the good things I have to mention. I love high-speed, high-skill platformers like this, and Sonic, and Bit Trip. But this game's desire to encourage skillful play is at constant odds with its mechanics. Firstly, there are noticeable collision issues. Don't get me wrong, the collision issues are lenient in the player's favor, but that's somehow even more frustrating. You can clip pretty well into an obstacle and still survive. In a game that's entirely about overcoming these obstacles at high speeds, that's inexcusable. I want my victory to be my own. Secondly, sometimes the obstacle indicators break, even though you're taught to rely on them. The obstacles are colored for your convenience, and that always functions properly, thankfully, but there's also a second indicator that's nearly essential on some stages. You might not have seen it yet, but right there in the upper right of the screen, when a hazard is coming, there's a few lines ahead of time that warn you which type of jump you'll need. This is a godsend when it works, but it often doesn't. Sometimes these lines appear multiple times per obstacle, or worse, appear after the obstacle has already passed, so they're pretty useless and downright distracting at times. Thirdly, you can't always sprint. Some sections of level, 2 or 3 throughout the entire game, force you to be moving at jogging speed or the obstacles won't line up right. Sprinting can also break some of the scripted obstacles by nullifying them on rare occasions. This makes me wonder whether I'm even supposed to be sprinting all the time. But, why wouldn't I be sprinting all the time? The game itself and its press release helpfully inform me that the idea was to conquer my best times. It certainly keeps track of my best times. With this game, the idea is to put everything you learn together to create a perfect ballet, poetry in motion, but it feels more like blisteringly fast stumbling. I want to go fast, I'm trying my damnedest to go fast using what I've learned, but there are too many things conspiring to stop me on the meta level instead of the gameplay level, which just feels bad. The game is also not without its presentational and technical issues. I was once able to load several instances of the same level in a queue by mashing the A button during the loading screen. This created a frightening loop where I would attempt to make the first jump of the level, then the level would restart, over and over, until finally my buffer of button presses ran out and the level began proper. There's also the fact that level ideas and set pieces repeat with obnoxious frequency. I just saw this factory 2 levels ago, I know these aren't new hazards, and some of them aren't even in new configurations. The cutscenes are also laughable, with the characters moving like rigid dolls in robotic, soulless gestures. Never Yield is probably fine to play casually, but there's just too much wrong here otherwise. Hey, it's the end of the video. Did you know I have a Patreon? It's true. If you grab certain tiers there, you can directly influence what content I make next. Or you can just offer general support. Both are lovely, and some equally lovely people are already signed up. People I will list for you now. My wonderful supporters are iPompous, Anonymous, Jay, Marth Sinclair, Mighty Minimalist Power Rangers, Sam Anderson, and Some Call Me Anto. A link to the Patreon is in the description. Thank you all so much for your time and thoughts, and I'll talk to you in the next video.